Imagine yourself in a room with nothing but silence. No voices, no distractions, no notifications demanding your attention. Just you and your thoughts. For some, this is peace, a rare opportunity to be with oneself. For others, it is unsettling, even unbearable. The silence feels too loud, the emptiness too heavy. The instinct is to escape, to reach for a phone, turn on the television, call someone, anyone to fill the space. But what if I told you that this discomfort holds the key to something greater? That in this stillness, in this solitude, lies the very foundation of love. Not just love for another, but a love deeper, stronger, and more transformative than most will ever experience. Society has conditioned us to believe that love is something external, something we must find in another person. We grow up hearing that love completes us, that our other half is out there waiting. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if real love begins not in the presence of another, but in the embrace of solitude? This idea might challenge everything you've been taught about love and relationships. But today we will explore why solitude is not the absence of love, it is its birthplace. We will examine what some of the greatest minds, philosophers, psychologists, and thinkers have uncovered about the power of being alone. And in the final revelation, we will uncover a truth so powerful it may forever change how you see love, relationships, and even yourself. Think about how love is portrayed in books, movies, and culture. It is often depicted as an overwhelming passion, an unstoppable force pulling two people together as if by fate. And yet, how many of these love stories end in pain? How many relationships begin with passion but collapse under the weight of unspoken expectations, emotional neediness, and unresolved wounds? Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages." But how can you be a good friend to someone else if you've never learned to be a good friend to yourself? Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychological thinkers of all time, spoke of individuation, the process of becoming a whole and complete individual. He argued that without this process, relationships become a form of dependency rather than a true union. We do not love the other person, we cling to them. We do not connect, we attach. And when that attachment is threatened, the love we thought we had turns into fear, jealousy, and insecurity. How often do people enter relationships hoping another person will fill the emptiness inside them? How often do we mistake emotional dependency for love? When we do not know ourselves, when we have not faced our own fears, weaknesses, and desires, we seek someone else to do that work for us. And that is where relationships fail. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the opposite. Loneliness is the absence of connection, but solitude is the presence of self. It is in solitude that we meet ourselves fully. Without distraction, we confront our thoughts, our patterns, our pain, and our potential. And from that space, we cultivate a love that is not desperate, not needy, but whole. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "Love consists of this, two solitudes that protect and border and greet each other." Real love is not two people losing themselves in each other, it is two whole individuals standing side by side, not out of need but out of choice. But how do we reach this state? How do we move from fearing solitude to embracing it as the foundation of real love? It begins with a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing solitude as isolation, we must see it as an opportunity, a time for growth, reflection, and true self-discovery. When we resist solitude, we resist the chance to build a love that is not fragile but unshakable. Now, imagine this: a person who cannot sit alone in silence, who constantly seeks external distractions to avoid their own thoughts, who feels uncomfortable in solitude. How can they ever truly love if they have never faced themselves? The truth is, most people enter relationships not because they are overflowing with love, but because they are afraid of being alone. They seek a partner to escape solitude, to validate their existence, to silence the inner void they refuse to confront. But love that begins in fear is not love. It is dependency. To love deeply, we must first learn to be alone. This is the paradox of love. The more comfortable we are in solitude, the more capable we are of forming deep and meaningful connections. The less we need someone, the more freely we can love them. This is because love, at its highest form, is not about filling a void, it is about sharing the abundance of our being. But why do so many people fear solitude? Why does the idea of sitting alone with one's own thoughts seem unbearable? For some, solitude forces them to face themselves. In the quiet, they hear the voices they have ignored, the doubts, the regrets, the unresolved emotions. They see the parts of themselves they have spent years avoiding. And for many, this is terrifying. It is far easier to lose oneself in distractions, in relationships, in the constant noise of the world, than to truly sit with oneself. Carl Jung warned about this avoidance. He described the shadow self, the hidden parts of our psyche that we refuse to acknowledge. He argued that true self-awareness, and by extension true love, requires us to confront our shadows. If we do not, we project them onto others. We blame our partners for our unhappiness. We expect them to fix our insecurities. We turn relationships into battlegrounds where our unresolved wounds play out. So what is the purpose of love? Most people never stop to consider this. They assume love exists to bring happiness, to provide companionship, to make life more beautiful. And while love can do all of these things, its true purpose is far greater. Love exists to evolve us. Love is not simply about romance or companionship. It is a force that drives transformation. It is the ultimate teacher, the greatest mirror, the most powerful catalyst for growth. But here is where most people misunderstand love. They assume that growth must come from the relationship itself. They believe that another person is responsible for teaching them, healing them, making them better. But love does not start in the relationship. It starts before the relationship. It starts in solitude. Think of it this way: if love is the ultimate teacher, then solitude is the preparation. Solitude is where we learn the lessons that allow love to thrive. It is where we uncover our own depths, where we cultivate the emotional strength and clarity that make real love possible. Without solitude, love is chaotic, unstable, fragile. But when we have embraced solitude, love is transformed. It becomes an expression of who we are, rather than a desperate attempt to fill what we lack. So, if you are single, do not see solitude as an absence of love. See it as the foundation of the deepest love you will ever experience. Do not chase love, become love. And the right person will naturally align with you.